I went to UNM in the early 70s, total hippie days. And we had a philosophy teacher who used to take us out and we'd sit on the grass. And she used to wear long vests down to the floor, and she was very ethereal, and she would kind of pose and center herself. She said, though, I'm pretty sure it was in that class, that the universe inside your head is larger than the universe outside. What she said is large. The universe inside your head is as large as the universe outside. And I thought, this woman takes drugs. So I heard it and I wrote it down or whatever, but I didn't think it was right. But it never went away from me. So it was one of those moments where I got an idea. It kind of went into time release form, though, because I had the idea as something that was wrong and stupid. But I didn't throw it away. I kept it. It was like a funny rock that I carried around. I thought, why would she have said that the universe inside my head is as big as the universe outside? But as the years went by and I played with that idea, I think the world inside is bigger. Because the real universe only has what actually happened. But inside your head, you have all the fantasy versions. And who you might have married, and what you might have done, and what if you had lived here, and what if you had been a person who moved all around the world instead of staying in one house, or what if you hadn't been a person who moved around. And we have the idea of what would have happened. I remember I was working in the garden yesterday in the yard, and I thought, it's like the first day of school, kind of, with all your new school supplies, and you think everything's going to be great. And some of that garden isn't going to work. You know, whatever, the dog's going to run through it on a muddy day, or something's just not going to take, and I'm just going to stop watering it. It's not going to be the perfect thing I imagined. But in my head, I have that too. I have that version of what if everything grew and it rained this year, and when I go to England, people remember to water it. I don't know. So people have in their heads everything that they know, everything that connects to when they're going to learn it, and their ideas about why and who. I think that's wonderful. I also really like Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. I started to say 7, but they're up around 9 now, of figuring as to people's talents. Well, it would have been what was once called talents. But with IQ and that, they figure there's an intelligence, that there's something physical about your brain, your capacity, that makes you smart or not smart compared to other people. What Howard Gardner says is there are different ways to be smart. That helped a lot with helping other people get unschooling, because some people will say, well, all my kid cares about is music and he can't learn anything from music. So I will let him do music after 3 o'clock, after he does all these other things. And we're like, whoa, everything leads to everything. If all he cares about is music, let that go. Because music itself ties in with every other topic, everything. And the easy stuff is math and science. But culture, religion, human anatomy, there's just not going to be anything that music doesn't get to. I don't think. If anybody sees this and you think of something that does not touch on music in any way whatsoever, my email address is sandra@sandradodd.com. And I'll write it up. I mean, we can have an exchange. I'll make a web page just for your idea. There was a mom who wrote and said, my kid doesn't care about anything in the world but World War II. He doesn't do anything but draw pictures of tanks and draw pictures of airplanes and draw maps. And he knows all about World War II. He doesn't know anything else. And so that was when AOL was new, so that was years ago. And that's the first time anybody had ever put one of those to me. It's like, tell me how. Prove it. Put up or shut up. And I said, okay. So I just started spinning a thing about World War II, about how much it tied in. And if he knew how they got food to those people and how they were exchanging information, how, why were those guys there? What were their motivations for being there? He would have the same kinds of questions about every other thing. He would understand other wars and projects if he understood that. You have to get food to people. They have to have a place to sleep. They have to have some clothes. They have to have some water. Who thinks about that with the war? But he did. That kid did. That kid knew everything. He was just huge into the logistics of who was where and why and how. I thought, how can that not tie into everything, including music? So it didn't worry me. And then I was playing a game one time, a game that I used to play called That's Not Educational. And so I said, I bet you can't name something that I can't tell you what's educational about it. And somebody said, Elvis Presley. Oh, it was so easy. That was so easy. And I think when people practice that, just playing around with kind of brainstorming, if they just do that at home, that helps them understand that it's unlikely that their kid's going to be doing something that isn't educational. That it's unlikely that their child is going to have a hobby or an interest that won't lead to anything useful in their life. Right now, Holly's working in a flower shop a couple of days a week. And when I wrote to them and said, I have this kid who wants to learn to do flowers, you think you could apprentice her? I could pay you to teach her something. She could come help. They ended up hiring her. Well, a couple of the things that she had done that helped were shrinky dinks and flower fairies. You know, just little stuff that little girls do at home, little art projects. But she does them in a really good way. And I showed them her webpage and some of the photos she's done. She's photoshopped some stuff, color changing stuff. And it's not flowers, it's not flower arranging, but they know that those arts are related. That if she has that sense of form and color, that she would be a good candidate to learn to do flowers, and she's doing great. She's lucky.